Once you've finished all four sides, your frame is now complete. Make sure that the edges are sturdy and together, that there's no warping. Once you've finished all four sides of bracing your frame, you're finished with the frame. You can now move on to... Once you've finished all four sides, you've finished with your frame. You can now move on... Once you've finished all four sides of bracing, you're now finished with your frame. You can now move on with... Once you've finished with all four sides of bracing, you're finished with your frame. You can now move on to stretching the fabric. Make sure before you do that your sealer is completely sealed, that all your edges are lined up completely, or lined up straight. Once you've finished with putting bracing on all four corners, you're finished with your frame. You can now move on to stretching your canvas. Once you've finished putting braces on all four corners, you're finished with your frame. You can now move on with stretching your silk. Be sure before you do that all the edges are flush aligned, that your your coating is completely dried. Once you've finished bracing all four corners, you're finished with your frame. You can now move on to stretching the silk. Be sure before you do that all edges are lined up, that your coating is completely dry, and that there's no warping or major cracking. If there is, you may need to replace whatever beam that is warped or cracked.